when you try to be the best in the world of it and you make it a study and a passion, it's so good for your soul. It's so good for your self-respect. You talk about happiness. One of the greatest ways to be happy is to do your work like it's the most important work in the world.
Welcome to a new episode. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Robin Sharma. Hello, Robin.
Great to be with you, Mark.
You're one of the world leading experts in leadership and personal development and a best-selling author, of course. And today I want to talk about life and self-improvement, but also about your new book. It's called The Wealth You Can't Buy with Money. And there's also a German edition available. I will put all the links below in the show notes. So if you're interested, you can buy the English version or the German version. So Robin, let's dive into it. So in your new book, you discuss the essence of humanity and self-improvement. You have defined 8 types of wealth that are not material, which I actually like very much. So perhaps you can summarize it for the audience in a very short time.
Sure. Well, let's go up to 50,000 feet and from a macro level. Our society has said to us that wealth is having a lot of money, a big portfolio, large houses, many things. Actually, one of the 8 forms of wealth is money. And I want to be clear about that. There's nothing wrong with money. Actually, money allows us to put food on the family table. Money allows us to do things for the people we love. Money gives us freedom. So there's 25 chapters in The Wealth Money Can't Buy on how the billionaires think, what their habits are, what they do. I've mentored billionaires for 15 plus years. But there are 7 other forms of wealth that I talk about in the book. And it's not until we have all 8 forms of wealth in our life that we focus on that we can call ourselves rich. A lot of people have a lot of money, but they're cash rich, they're life poor.
Very nice said, very nice said. So you write all these books about self-improvement. Are you happy with yourself? Are you on the level where you say, yes, I'm 100% self-improved. I'm on that level everybody should be?
No, I think the whole nature of being human, Mark, is you're always in pursuit of your finest self. And I also am not really, and this might sound like a radical idea, but my pursuit is not happiness. I believe that if you chase happiness, it will run away from you. But if you chase mastery, if you chase pushing magic into the marketplace with your work, if you pursue a great family life, the 3rd form of wealth, if you pursue service, the 8th form of wealth, in the form of being someone who lifts people up versus tearing them down, being someone who leaves people better than you found them, being someone who is useful, then you find happiness. So I'm not obsessed with happiness. I think it is a byproduct of living these 8 forms of wealth that I talk about in the book.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the book, and I'm also on this path actually in the last couple of years. I'm actually a financial consultant, and I always saw if somebody is just hunting for the money, for getting quick rich, they always fail. They always fail. So if you're full of passion, if you just have one goal and you think about it every day and you do it with a pure heart, you will get successful, and then the money comes automatically. So I can actually sign everything you say in the book. So what was the last time or the last experience you made where you just saw, okay, I made an experience and this is very important for my development, and it was just like a aha effect, like, wow, what's going on?
Well, it's a good question. It's a very general question. There's been many experiences where I've got growth from them. I've had a fair amount of tragedy in my life. And one of the chapters in the book is your hurters are your helpers. And I believe that the people who hurt us and cause us difficulty are also at some level teachers. And so sometimes it's the most difficult times in our life that gives us the greatest growth, the greatest wisdom, that introduces us to our strengths. I've been on this 4-month book tour. And so that's an experience that's been very interesting. A lot of people say, are you tired at this stage? Do you just want to go home? And what I stay focused on is I spent a year writing this book in quietude last year. And now I feel it's a real privilege to be out on this book tour and sharing the message. All of us who are creative people and entrepreneurs and producers, to take your product out into the world is really, I think it's a great blessing. To work quietly alone, hoping that people will find value in your art, and then to get out in the world and share it, I think it's a blessing. So that energizes me versus tires me. And then even the chance to meet my readers, the chance to meet people like you. I think in business, for example, it's all about relationships. I'm at a stage in my life where I would fly 10 hours for a 10-minute relationship. So it's a recent experience where I'm learning a lot.
Yeah. There are so many books out there on the market about self-improvement and progress and get better with yourself and be the best version of yourself. Is there a danger that perhaps some people are like in a hamster wheel of self-improvement and they will never reach it because they're so focused and so concentrated on this goal? Is there a danger of that, or what do you think?
My reply would be the smallest of actions is always better than the noblest of intentions. And a lot of us are in fear. And so what we do is we read too many books to escape from exercising the bravery to get our ideals done. So I believe personal development is incredibly important. It's so powerful. Ultimately, your income and your impact reflects your self-identity. And so the more you can grow yourself, your mindset, your heart set, your health set, your soul set, the wiser you can become, the more you understand how the great humanitarians, the great creatives, the great entrepreneurs, the great leaders, the more you can understand how you can do it, the more powerful a human being you'll become. Having said that, you don't want to use personal development as another escape from building the habits and executing on your ideas. I agree.
And the pressure of the society is pretty high for everybody. We have the social media, we have TikTok, and young girls try to be the perfect model, and everybody tries to be the perfect version of themselves. But I think also you, Robin, have perhaps one bad day in a week or in a month. So is there something like a cheat day where you say, okay, fuck all of this, I'm just going in front of the couch, read a book or watch Netflix, eat some chips, drink some cola, and that's it?
Well, I'm human just like you. Aristotle came up with an idea called the golden mean. And I think it's very important that we have a balance in life. One of the early chapters in the growth section, the first form of wealth and the wealth money can't buy, is it's okay to be messy. And so I think there are days where it's excellent to be excellent. And then, of course, there's days where you give yourself a reward meal or you give yourself a day just to waste time. John Lennon said it really well. He said, time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. And there's a model that I teach in my methodology called the twin cycles of elite performance. I believe elite performance without deep recovery is an empty victory and it won't be sustained. So it's really key to have days in the week where you're on your game, you're a member of the 5 a.m. club, you're doing your schedule, you're optimizing, etc. And then it's very important to have a day or two every week, call it a digital sabbatical, where you turn off your phone. Maybe you sleep more than usual. You have 3-hour meals with your family. You might read the classics. You might just watch a lot of Netflix or whatever it is. And I think it's absolutely essential to have those times of recovery and maybe even sloppiness to sustain excellence. Otherwise, you're going to lead to a place where you absolutely deplete your cognitive bandwidth and your willpower, your well of willpower.
What was the last thing which made you cry and laugh?
I love country music, and I listened to a song recently called Pink Skies by Zach Bryan. It's a very beautiful song. It's about a family that gets together in their hometown to attend a funeral. And that song made me cry. Last thing I loved, last night in my hotel room, I watched the new documentary about the designer John Galliano. And the fourth form of wealth in the book is mastery. And I think we live in a world right now where pursuing magic in your work, trying to be the best in the world at what you do, trying to put mastery out into the marketplace is almost getting a bad reputation. But when you take your work seriously, when you work, when you try to be the best in the world of it, and you make it a study and a passion, it's so good for your soul. It's so good for your self-respect. You talk about happiness. One of the greatest ways to be happy is to do your work like it's the most important work in the world. We can get great fulfillment and build intimacy with our personal talents by taking our work seriously, whether you're a barista, a taxi driver, a painter, an astronaut, whatever it is. And so that documentary inspired me because he did his work like Picasso painted, and his fashion designs were absolutely not only disruptive, but very beautiful.
Sounds nice. Sounds nice. Now we're in very historic times, actually. We see a paradigm shift. The world seems to be in chaos. So many people are scared of, for example, losing purchasing power, losing their job, war, and so on. So we see a turning point in history somehow. We have elections all over the world. And I think the discussion is getting more heated up than ever before. So how can you give some people the advice? How can they stay calm and look on themselves and try to make the world a better place?
So some tactics. First of all, getting up early. You know, I've written this book, The 5 a.m. Club, but it's very powerful. The Spartan warriors say, sweat more in training and you'll bleed less in war. So by training yourself, it'll take about 66 days to install the habit to the point of automaticity, where it's easier to get up early than not to get up early. And I'm not saying sleep deprivation. Get into bed at 9 or 10. Train yourself to do it. It's a practice. What we practice, we get better at. So you get up at 5 a.m. and you take 1 hour for yourself and you exercise. Just by exercising, you're going to release dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, these neurochemicals, which will make you feel stronger and more resilient to the stress of the world. Second thing, I call this the 5-question morning maximizer. 5 questions to answer every morning in your journal. Number 1, what am I grateful for? Gratitude is the antidote to fear. Positive psychology confirms that. Number 2, where am I winning? The brain has a feature called the negativity bias, which causes us to always look for threats in our world. It served us well thousands of years ago when we had threats like saber-toothed tigers and other predators and warring tribes. Now we're here in the modern world. And Mark, what do? We look for the threats versus celebrate the wins. So answering that question, where am I winning? Those little micro wins amplifies them in your awareness. Third question to answer every morning, even just a paragraph. What will I let go of today? One of the early chapters in The Wealth Money Can't Buy, do not be a resentment collector. How many of us as creatives, as entrepreneurs, or as human beings, we have not processed through all the hurts, all the resentments we've picked up along the way? It's there. It's blocking us from our creativity, our energy, our intimacy, our truest selves. So answering a paragraph or sometimes a page, what will I let go of today? Oh, that person who broke my heart. Oh, that client who betrayed me. Or, oh, that partner who stole from me. Or jealousy. I'll release jealousy. Or is very powerful. it starts the process of releasing that energy so we rise in who we truly are. Fourth question.
Yeah, we need this negative experience actually to get forward, to learn. It's a process. I always said also in my last book that crises are actually chances. And without all the crises humanity had, we wouldn't be there where we are right now, actually. We wouldn't have invented the fire or the car or the mobile phone. So I think humanity needs crisis, needs actually to be scared to develop. Or do you think I'm wrong?
Well, let's go to the science. We grow through stress. Stress is not a bad thing. Stress optimizes performance. Stress introduces us to our talents. Stress makes us who we're meant to be. The problem is a lack of relief or recovery from stress. How do you build a bicep? I call this the bicep metaphor. You build a bicep by going to the gym and stressing the muscle by lifting the weight, causing micro tearing. But you recover by a rest day, and that makes the muscle stronger. So stress is actually, you're right, necessary, even in business. The great companies, they feel the pressure and stress of a marketplace full of competition, and that causes them to innovate and be more excellent.
I definitely recommend your book. I liked it a lot. So
Thank you.
imagine everybody on this planet would read your book and would also implement every advice you make in this book, also in your other books. How would the world look like?
Well, Mother Teresa said it really well. She said, if everyone would only sweep their own doorstep, the whole world would be clean. And unfortunately, we're living in a world where there's a lot of entitlement, and a lot of people are giving away their human power. And they're saying, world, give me a great life. There are too many people, I just want to be honest with you, there are too many people who want a beautiful life, a rich life, a peaceful life, a healthy life, an inspiring life, but they're not willing to do what that requires. And so, I've put my heart and my soul in the Wealth Money Can't Buy, and I've tried to make it the most value. I've been at this 31 years, and I've tried to make it the most not only inspirational but valuable book that I've ever written. I spent a year of my life last year writing it. I did 20 different versions of the manuscript, probably 10,000 changes per manuscript. I call it a beautiful suffering. It was suffering writing it, and it's beautiful in the sense that I took myself and my craft to the jagged edges, and we'll see how people love it. But I would say if people read the book, they'd take their power back, and they'd remember the gifts and the talents that live inside every human being. And then they learn specific habits and ways of thinking and ways to run days and ways to live a life that science as well as philosophers have proven. This is how you live a wise life, a grounded life, a heroic life, a decent life, a fulfilling life.
I asked my community what I should ask you. And there was one person who said, please ask Robin, what is he scared of? Because I'm scared very often, and I have the impression he's never scared because he has such a high level of self-improvement and wisdom and so on. So please ask him of what he is scared.
I'm scared of that question.
Okay, I'll reply.
Of course I have fears. And what I've found is the more through meditation, visualization, and prayer, or working with spiritual counselors, or time in solitude, or my journaling, or all the things that I do, the different modalities, when I move through a fear, you know what I realize? I'm introduced to the next level of fears to work through. And I believe that the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. And I'm certainly no guru, and I certainly, Mark, have a lot of work to do, but I will tell you, I've come such a long way from where I was even 2 or 3 years ago through all the things that I do each day. But one fear, maybe my biggest fear, is to get to the end of my life with my potential unfulfilled. The last chapter in The Wealth Money Can't Buy is live fully so you die empty. And I want to channel George Bernard Shaw, his famous quote. He said something like, I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, not a pile of smoldering ashes complaining that the world will not give me the life that I want. I want to do my best to live my promise before I get to the end.
So what's your impression? You think you fulfill your life? You think you reach your goal?
I don't think so.
So you struggle on. So you will write perhaps another book and you will try to improve yourself even further, because that's what I think. I think we can learn every day. And the day I die, I want to look back and say, okay, I was the best version of myself. I tried to make the planet a better place. I tried to help people. I believe in karma and so on and so forth. It's because I know I can't take any money with me. You know, I can't take the Ferrari with me or the house or a baseball cap. So what's the meaning of life, for example, for Robin Sharma?
Well, I think there's two questions there. The first thing I would say, just to be more clear, I don't think I'll get to fulfill all of my potential. And I say this very respectfully, but I don't think any of us will. I think there's been only a handful of human beings who became enlightened. And I think to fulfill fully your human potential means you're enlightened, you're full of light, there's no shadows, you have total intimacy with your highest self. And I think very few people ever get there. But I think the trophy is in the process and in the journey of what I call micro wins, improving yourself every day. And then you say to me, the second question was, I think it was, what is winning, or what is success for me, or what's my purpose? Excuse me.
What's the meaning of life for Robin Sharma?
Well, there's many meanings, and that's the 8 forms of wealth in the book. There's growth, the first form of wealth. The second form of wealth is wellness. That's a key meaning for me. Third form of wealth is family. My family, like my dad will be 86 on Friday.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mark. So family is part of my meaning. Fourth form of wealth, craft, huge meaning. You know, this is, as I say, year 31 and still trying to write better books, give better presentations, gives me so much energy, meaning, knowing I've been being of service. So I have many different purposes. If you were to ask me the ultimate meaning of life, I think there are 2. I think on the last hour of our last day, only 2 things matter. Number 1, who did you become? Did you build? Did you get to know your gifts, your talents, your fears, your hopes, your promise? And number 2, how many people did you help? I mentioned my dad, and when I was growing up, he said, Robin, when you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. He said, son, live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice. I think our highest human purpose is to, in some way, use our lives to make the lives of other people richer and better.
I couldn't agree more. Now, if you could give advice to somebody who didn't read any book of yours, or perhaps sees this interview the first time and is inspired, how should he start his day, or what should he implement immediately, actually?
Well, it depends on where the person is at, but I believe a great morning routine is so important, because the way you begin your day profoundly influences the tone of your day. We can talk about what a great morning routine looks like. I think a great pre-sleep ritual, especially where you turn off your phone after 6 o'clock or maybe 7 o'clock, be with your family, be with a great book, be with some beautiful music, be on a walk with nature, or be alone with yourself. But it's so important to have a great pre-sleep ritual. I think it's also important to start, and this is one of the key through lines through the new book, which is release the energy vampires and the dream stealers from your life. That's a great place to start. I think you can live a beautiful life or be around toxic people. You can't do both. I think another great place to start is clarity. Clarity breeds mastery. Pull out a journal and write yourself this question: what does my ideal life look like 24 months from today? And then start stripping out all of the things that you're doing that are preventing you from that life.
What's the perfect routine for the start into the day?
Well, I like to start the day. So the 5 a.m. club, I did it for 25 years. And now I would say 4 a.m. is the new 5 a.m. And I'm trying to maybe make you smile a little bit, but I also must say for the past year, I've been getting up most days at 4 a.m. and I love it. And people who aren't familiar with the morning routine or getting up early would say it's strange, because any new idea that's disruptive is called strange or crazy until you try it and realize how powerful it is. Secondly, I do it because it just makes me so happy. Thirdly, I do it because I feel stronger, more creative, more peaceful during the day. So very quickly, I would say from 4 to 4:45, I meditate, visualize, and pray. 5 o'clock to 6, I work out, I sweat, I hydrate, I listen to audiobooks, podcasts while I'm working out.
Often what do you work out like? Is it like rowing or on steel, or you go for a run?
I have 3 machines, Mark. I have an elliptical, which I love. I have a running machine, which I love. And I have a stationary bicycle, which I love.
Perfect.
And then I do 30 minutes of cardio. Then I do some weight training, which I think is very, very powerful. You know that better than most people. And then I always do mobility. So I spend 20 minutes stretching, doing the pigeon, right? Pigeon. I do all sorts of different yoga stretches. Now it's 6 o'clock. I have 2 cups of coffee. As you know, coffee is one of the world's greatest cognitive enhancers, as well as a fantastic antioxidant. And I write in my journal, and I've shared the 5. I didn't mention the last 2 journal prompts. What does my ideal day look like? Powerful, because that gives you clarity on your ideal day. So you're strategic versus reactive. And then the 5th question I answer: what needs to be said at the end? Memento mori. Remember, you will die. So imagine every morning, just write a paragraph about what you want said about you at your funeral. You'll live so much more to the point, so much more intentionally. Then so we're at 7 o'clock. I live on a farm, so I'll take my little dog. My partner, Elle, is doing her thing. I'll take my little dog, Holly, for a 15-minute nature walk. A 15-minute nature walk in the morning is life-changing for many reasons. It's great for your soul. It's great for your mind. It's great for your heart. And then I love taking baths. Often I'll listen to some more audio. And at 8 o'clock, I'll start my creative day.
Marvelous. May I ask, where do you have your farmhouse? Because I was reading it in the book and it sounded like in France or somewhere, because you said there are olive trees and...
Yes, I live in Tuscany.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, I visit you. I love Italy. Best food ever.
It's true. It's true. No, I'd love to meet you.
That's why you have to work out.
Yeah, a lot of good
Robin,
pasta.
It was a pleasure. I'm delighted. I would like to repeat this actually, perhaps even in person, because I think you have so much more to tell the people and the audience. And if you like the interview, please thumbs up, check out the new book from Robin. It's definitely worth reading it. And if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. And thank you. Give me your advice or give me your comments on this interview and what your daily routine looks like. I'm really curious. The last book you read, of course. Robin, thank you very much for your time, for your work, for your wise words. It was a pleasure talking to you finally after all these years. I'm reading your books and everything. So I hope next time we can meet in person. Perhaps the publisher can give you my mobile phone number. So if you're in Germany or if I'm in Italy, we go for espresso.
Mark, I'd love to meet you in person and do an interview. Thank you for your faith in my work, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Take care.